तो गाइस अभी हम लोग जो है नेक्स्ट टॉपिक देखते हैं। तो जैसे पीडिया अपन कर रहे थे, है ना, तो अपन पीडिया कर रहे थे, तो इसको आप आगे बढ़ाते हैं। तो अभी आज हम लोग देखेंगे टाइफाइड, है ना, टाइफाइड। तो गाइस जो टाइफाइड होता है, सबसे पहले जो टाइफाइड होता है, इसका जो पॉजिटिव एजेंट होता है कौन होता है? सैल्मोनेला टाइफी, ठीक है। सैल्मोनेला टाइफी नाम का बैक्टीरिया होता है। वो क्या होता है बेसिकली? ये पॉजिटिव ऑर्गेनिज्म कौन सा होता है? सैल्मोनेला टाइफी। बेसिकली इसका रूट ऑफ ट्रांसमिशन गाइस क्या होता है ना, इसका रूट ऑफ ट्रांसमिशन क्या होता है? फीकल ओरल रूट, फीको ओरल रूट। तो इसका रूट ऑफ ट्रांसमिशन क्या होता है? फीको ओरल रूट होता है, ठीक है। अच्छा, फीको ओरल रूट इन द सेंस कंटामिनेटेड फूड एंड वाटर से फैलता है, ठीक है। कंटामिनेटेड फूड एंड वाटर से फैलता है, ठीक है। देन गाइस आगे बताऊँ तो बेसिकली इसका क्लिनिकल फीचर्स क्या होता है? तो इसका क्लिनिकल फीचर्स क्या होगा? पेन एब्डोमेन, ठीक है, पेन एब्डोमेन। उसके बाद दूसरा, इसमें कॉन्स्टिपेशन भी हो सकता है, ठीक है, इसमें कॉन्स्टिपेशन भी हो सकता है। तीसरा यहाँ पे क्या हो सकता है? यहाँ पे ब्लीडिंग भी हो सकता है, ठीक है, ब्लीडिंग भी हो सकता है, ठीक है, ब्लीडिंग भी हो सकता है। उसके बाद यहाँ पे फीवर विथ चिल्स होता है, फीवर विथ चिल्स एंड राइगर, ठीक है। उसके बाद यहाँ पे कॉन्स्टिपेशन के अलावा मेनली तो कॉन्स्टिपेशन प्रीडोमिनेटली मिलता है अपने को, पर होने का यहाँ पे डायरिया भी मिल सकता है ना, डायरिया भी मिल सकता है पेशेंट में, एनोरेक्सिया भी मिलता है, ठीक है। और अभी भी हम लोग इसमें और बात करेंगे। यहाँ पे रिलेटिव ब्रेडिकार्डिया मिलता है, तो वी विल सी दैट व्हाट इज द रिलेटिव ब्रेडिकार्डिया। सो गाइज बेसिकली व्हाट इज द रिलेटिव ब्रेडिकार्डिया? सो लेट डिस्कस अबाउट दिस रिलेटिव ब्रेडिकार्डिया। So what this is? So basically guys, as we know that in every on average increasing 1 degree Celsius, 1 degree Celsius of temperature, heart rate increase by 10, heart rate increase by 10. Suppose if my body temperature is 98.6, 98.6, and it increases into 99.6. So basically it is increased by 1 degree. So basically heart rate should be increased by the 10, heart rate should be increased by the 10. So basically this is what we call Livermister rules. So basically guys, but this rules is not followed in the typhoid fever. This is not following typhoid fever. Basically what happen here, the body as the body temperature raises, heart rate also raises, but it not raises up to the 10, it not raises by the 10. It might be raises by the 1, by the 2, by the 3, by the 4, but it not be raises by the 10. Then guys, next thing I'm going to discuss intestinal manifestation of the enteric fever. So the intestinal manifestation of the enteric fever, basically there is a abdominal pain. Second one is constipation. Third one is a diarrhea. So guys, these are the intestinal manifestation. If on increasing the severity of the disease, there will be intestinal perforation may happen. There will intestinal perforation may happen. This may cause death of the patient if you not corrected as soon as. So then guys, second thing I'm going to tell about the typhoid relapse. So basically typhoid relapse occur due to the reservoir of the typhoid bacteria basically present in a gallbladder. So in a gallbladder there is a reservoir of these bacteria present. So basically these bacteria present in a gallbladder, and it may cause the relapse in a future if the patient get immunity get compromised. Basically these patients are carrier to the other. So basically the what investigation needed in a typhoid? So basically we can do CBC. In CBC mainly we will see the decreased WBC. Normally in bacterial infection what happen, there is a leukocytosis, but the typhoid one is a exception, there is a leukopenia, means WBC decreased by the less than 4,000. Then guys, there is a specific investigation also, as we can remember this by the trick BASU. So B stand for blood culture, A stand for antibody test, that is IgM typhoid, S stand for stool culture, U stand for urine culture. uh, then guys, basically this we need to do that, basically uh, uh, we do that blood culture in a first week, and this will we do that in second week of the fever, and this we stool culture we do in third week of the fever, and the last one is a urine culture we do in the uh, fourth week of fever. So basically this is how we investigate typhoid. So basically this is the criteria for typhoid, and in basically the dilution should be more than 1:1:160. Dilution should be more than 1:160, whether it is a P or whether it is a S type P. Dilution should be greater than 1:160. 120 dilution or 140, 180, this should be considered as a basically this considered as a negative marker. Then guys, we will discuss about the treatment of the typhoid. So basically for fever, for symptomatic treatment, we give paracetamol, dose at the rate 50 mg per kg of body weight. 50 mg per kg of body weight. So basically per kg per dose, 50 mg per kg per dose. The second guys, antibiotic we mainly prefer the basically we mainly prefer second fluoroquinolone. We can give Oflox, we can give Ciproflox. So basically Oflox dose is around 20 mg per kg per day, 20 mg per kg per day. But guys, due to drug resistance, these drugs are now basically we are the culprit of the drug resistance. Why the antibiotic resistance occur? Basically we use a lot of in normal cold, normal fever, we always try to give the antibiotic to the patient. These all cause the antibiotic resistance. So basically guys, we can give the third generation cephalosporin also. So basically the drug of choice is tablet or syrup, cefixime. Cefixime. The dose is basically this is cefixime, and in severe form we give injection ceftriaxone. Basically the dose is about 100 mg per kg per day. 100 mg per kg per day. So this is what exact dose. So this is guys, this is how we give the antibiotic in a patient. And the oral dose is of cefixime is 20 mg per kg per day. Then guys, we can also give the fourth generation drug for the enteric fever is azithromycin. The dose is 20 mg per kg per day. So basically dose of say azithromycin 20 mg per kg per day. Dose of cefixime is 20 mg per kg per day. Dose of ceftriaxone is 100 mg per kg per day, and dose of fluoroquinolone is basically 20 mg per kg per day, and dose of PCM is 20 mg per kg per day. This is how we give the drug to the patient. Basically then guys, I'm going to discuss about the next topic is chicken pox. So basically guys, what is this chicken pox? Basically this is caused by the varicella zoster virus. Varicella zoster virus. So basically this occur mainly in a 5 to 10 year children. 5 to 10 year children. Basically This is also come under the diagnosis fever with rash. Basically fever appear first day of the rash. Fever appear first day of rash. Basically initially basically on the mode of transmission by sneezing and coughing. Then the incubation period of this chicken pox is about around 10 to 21 days. An infectivity period is basically uh, 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 on the day of the races, before 2 day and after 5 day. Then guys, the races basically start in chicken pox. Races start races basically in typhoid. What we see rose spot, but or in typhoid we see the races at the 5th day of the fever. But in chicken pox we see the races at the first day of the fever, and races start from the abdomen. Then matlab means races start from the abdomen and spread to the periphery. Means it go from central to the periphery. From central to peripheral there is no conjunctivitis, and basically there is a typical lysis where there is a only fluid. Means I mean to say there is a vesicles, fluid filled blister. There is a fluid filled blister. One thing guys, I'm also want to discuss. I will discuss this later. Basically, let's see the clinical feature of this chickenpox. There is a fever, body ache, and flu-like symptom like cough, running nose, sneezing. Appearance of rashes basically central part of the body involved. Basically appearance of rashes basically first central body of the involved, then the it grows to the periphery. There is a three phase: pre-eruptive phase, eruptive phase, and the post-eruptive phase. Then guys, basically chicken pox rashes basically are chicken pox rashes absent at a palm and the sole. Treatment is basically we mainly manage this. This is the viral infection, so we do not need to give the any antiviral until unless there is a high severity. Basically we manage symptomatically. For fever we can give PCM, maintain hydrate of the patient. If there is a chance of singlish, then we can give a cyclovir. At the basically we give 800 mg oral 5 times a day. 800 mg oral 5 times a day. This is the adult dose. This is the adult dose. And the pediatric dose is 20 mg per kg per day. 20 mg per kg per day. Then guys, and this is also vaccine preventable disease. But guys, if this happen to the lady, if this varicella zoster virus happen to the lady in pregnancy, then child get some congenital abnormality. Basically the child get microcephaly. There is a triad what child get: microcephaly, skin scarring, and hypoplasia of the limb. Microcephaly, skin scarring, and hypoplasia of the limb. Microcephaly, skin scarring, and the hypoplasia of the limb. Means I mean to say there everything becomes shorter. Everything become a shorter. This is what we call congenital varicella syndrome. Congenital varicella syndrome. Basically this can be happen if lady get varicella zoster virus in early pregnancy. I mean to say in first trimester of the pregnancy. So and the chances is about the 1 to 2%. So basically, and in next video I will discuss about the dengue fever.